Why do two Singapore investors buy the same stocks, own the same REITs, and receive the same dividends? Yet, 20 years later, one has achieved financial freedom, while the other is still worrying about money? The difference usually isn't intelligence, it isn't having inside information, and it certainly isn't about finding the perfect stock. More often than not, the biggest difference is psychology. Today, we're going to explore the wealth habits that quietly separate successful Singapore income investors from everyone else. And by the end of this video, you may realize that building wealth has far less to do with predicting markets, and much more to do with, well, mastering yourself. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only and reflects general investing principles. It is not financial advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any investment. Always do your own research and consider your financial objectives, risk tolerance, and investment needs before making any investment decisions. Chapter 1. Your biggest enemy isn't the market. When markets become volatile, most people immediately blame things like interest rates, inflation, politics, or the economy. But those are usually not the biggest reasons investors fail. The biggest enemy is often the person staring back at us in the mirror. Imagine two investors both own shares in DBS, OCBC, and UOB. A market correction arrives, and their share prices fall by 20%. The first investor panics. He sees years of hard-earned savings shrinking and sells, convinced the banking sector is finished. The second investor pauses and asks a different question. Have the long-term fundamentals of these banks materially changed? Are they still profitable? Are their balance sheets still strong? Are they continuing to generate healthy capital and supporting sustainable dividends? If the answers are largely yes, then a lower share price may simply reflect changing market sentiment rather than a permanent decline in business value. For long-term income investors, a lower share price can also mean a higher dividend yield for new investments, provided the dividend remains sustainable. That's the difference between reacting to price and evaluating value. Successful investors don't ignore risk. They learn to separate temporary market fear from genuine changes in business fundamentals. Chapter 2. Stop chasing excitement. Every year, there's always something exciting. A new technology, a fashionable sector, a market everyone says you simply cannot miss. Many investors abandon a disciplined plan because they fear missing out. Meanwhile, some of the most successful income investors quietly keep doing the same thing. They save consistently, they invest consistently, and they allow time and compounding to work. Take Singapore's three local banks as an example. DBS, OCBC, and UOB rarely dominate headlines for spectacular overnight gains. They're mature businesses. They won't be the most exciting stocks in the market. But for many long-term income investors, their focus isn't excitement. It's building sustainable cash flow over many years. Through regular dividends and disciplined reinvestment, where appropriate, a seemingly boring portfolio can steadily grow both income and wealth over time. Remember, investing isn't meant to entertain you. It's meant to help fund your future. If you're constantly looking for excitement, you may end up chasing performance instead of building lasting wealth. Successful investing is often wonderfully boring, and that's exactly why it works. Chapter 3. Compounding Rewards. Patience. Compounding is often called one of the most powerful forces in investing. But there's one condition. You have to give it enough time. Imagine receiving dividends from DBS, or OCBC, or UOB. If you don't need that income today, you may choose to reinvest some or all of those dividends. Those additional shares can generate future dividends, which may then purchase even more shares. Over time, your portfolio isn't just growing. Your income-producing share factory is growing. Think of it as an income snowball. It starts small, almost too small to notice. But with patience, disciplined investing and reinvestment where appropriate, it gathers momentum. And eventually, the snowball becomes much larger than most people ever imagined. The challenge isn't understanding compounding. The challenge is staying patient during the early years, when progress feels slow and the results are largely invisible. Successful investors understand that wealth rarely grows in straight lines. It grows quietly, one dividend, one additional share, and 1 year at a time. Chapter 4. Ignore market noise. Focus on what matters. Every day, there will be headlines. Breaking news, interest rates, inflation, geopolitics, recession fears. And well, tomorrow, there'll be another headline. If you react to every piece of news, you'll probably spend more time worrying than investing. Successful investors don't ignore the news. They simply learn to separate noise from signal. For example, if you own Singapore banks like DBS, OCBC, or UOB, don't just ask, "What did today's headline say?" Instead, ask, "Are earnings still resilient? Is credit quality still healthy? Are capital levels still strong? Are dividends broadly sustainable?" Those are the questions that matter over the long run. Headlines may move share prices for a day or even a few months. But business fundamentals are what ultimately drive long-term value and income. The more you focus on business quality, the less you'll be distracted by market noise. Chapter 5. Volatility is the price of admission. Many people say they want stock market returns, but very few are prepared for stock market volatility. Here's a different way to think about it. Volatility isn't a punishment, it's the price of admission. Think about buying a concert ticket. You don't complain about paying for the ticket because it's the price of seeing the performance. In investing, temporary market declines are often the price we pay for the opportunity to participate in long-term wealth creation. Consider Singapore's 3 local banks. There have been periods when DBS experienced double-digit share price declines during global crises and economic uncertainty. There have been periods when OCBC experienced double-digit share price declines during global crises and economic uncertainty. There have been periods when UOB experienced double-digit share price declines during global crises and economic uncertainty. The headlines were unsettling, and the market became fearful. But a falling share price doesn't automatically mean the business itself has permanently weakened. That's why experienced investors don't ask only, "How much has the share price fallen?" They also ask, "Has the long-term investment case materially changed? Are earnings still resilient? Are balance sheets still strong? Are dividends broadly sustainable?" If the business has fundamentally deteriorated, it may be time to reassess. But if the fundamentals remain largely intact, then temporary volatility may simply be part of the journey. Successful investing isn't about avoiding volatility. It's about learning to live with it without allowing fear to make your decisions. Chapter 6. Stay within your circle of competence. One of the simplest ways to reduce investment mistakes is surprisingly simple. Don't invest in businesses you don't understand. You know, today there's so much pressure to know everything. Artificial intelligence, biotechnology, cryptocurrencies, and all sorts of complex financial products. The fear of missing out can really make us believe we need to invest in every new opportunity. But the truth is, you don't have to understand everything. You only need to understand enough to achieve your own financial goals. For many Singapore income investors, that may include businesses you're already familiar with. Banks like DBS, OCBC, and UOB, or REITs that own shopping malls, offices or industrial properties, and even utilities and infrastructure businesses that provide essential services and generate recurring cash flow. These businesses are often easier to understand because you can actually see how they earn money and what drives their long-term performance. Successful investors are comfortable saying, "I don't understand it, so I'll pass." That's not a missed opportunity. That's disciplined risk management. Remember, in investing, saying no to opportunities you don't fully understand is often just as important as saying yes to the ones you do. Chapter 7. Stop comparing yourself with others. Comparison quietly destroys wealth, not because someone else is succeeding, but because it tempts you to abandon a plan that was working for you. Maybe a colleague doubled his money trading speculative stocks, or a friend made a quick profit from cryptocurrency, or social media is just filled with stories of overnight success. Good for them. But their goals, their risk tolerance, and their financial circumstances may be completely different from yours. If your goal is to build sustainable passive income for retirement, then your scorecard should be very different. The investor steadily building dividend income from productive assets may not attract much attention today, but 20 years later, that same investor may have built a reliable stream of cash flow that helps fund everyday living without relying solely on a monthly salary. Remember, investing isn't a competition. It's a personal journey. Don't measure your success by someone else's portfolio. Measure it by one simple question. Am I becoming more financially secure than I was yesterday? Because true wealth isn't about public status. It's about private freedom. The freedom to choose how you live, not the need to impress how you live. Chapter 8. Wealth is about freedom, not status. At the end of the day, the purpose of wealth isn't to impress strangers, it's to create choices. The freedom to retire when you're ready, the freedom to spend more time with family, the freedom to travel, the freedom to pursue hobbies. And perhaps most importantly, the freedom to worry less about money. For many Singaporeans, that freedom isn't built on a single investment. It's built on multiple streams of income working together. CPF Life may provide a lifelong foundation. Dividend-paying shares may generate growing cash flow over time. Cash reserves can provide flexibility during unexpected events or market downturns. Together, they can help create a retirement that's not only financially stronger, but emotionally more resilient. Because here's something many investors eventually realize. A large portfolio doesn't automatically give you peace of mind. Reliable income does. You can't spend your net worth. You spend your cash flow. That's why successful retirement planning isn't just about building a bigger portfolio. It's about building dependable income that supports the life you want to live. Because in the end, the greatest return on your investments isn't a percentage. It's freedom. The freedom to decide how you spend your time, without money making that decision for you. Final thoughts. Many people believe successful investing is about finding the next winning stock. In reality, it's often about avoiding costly mistakes, controlling fear during market downturns, resisting greed during market euphoria, ignoring unnecessary noise, and allowing time and compounding to work in your favor. Because the wealthiest investors aren't always the smartest, they're often the most disciplined. So remember, your salary pays today's bills, but your productive assets can help fund tomorrow's freedom. Don't spend your life chasing the next exciting investment. Build a portfolio that can continue generating sustainable cash flow through different market cycles. Because true financial independence isn't about becoming the richest person in the room. It's about becoming financially secure enough that money no longer controls your choices. And finally, don't just aim to become paper rich. Aim to become cash flow rich. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a like. It helps YouTube recommend this video to more people who want to build sustainable wealth and passive income. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to Wealth for You and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss future videos on Singapore dividend investing, CPF, REITs, Singapore banks, retirement planning, and building long-term passive income. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which psychological investing lesson resonated with you the most? Or, what's the biggest investing mistake you've learned from over the years? Your experience could help someone else become a better investor. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Invest wisely, and I'll see you in the next video.